Time to do another one of these videos. Howdy and hello. My name is Axel and welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to OC Rundown. If you are new here, let me give you the basics. OC Rundown is a series here on my channel where I choose one of my OCs and give you all, well, a rundown on them, their backstory, and their design and any aspects I find interesting. These types of videos contain a bunch of art that I'll post as separate speed paints, excluding the thumbnail, which is exclusive to this video. Today's subject is Touya Inoue. Touya is my Persona 3 Reload OC, meaning you'll get details on his persona and his evolution as a character as we go. Touya is one of my more developed OCs of recent times. I have his whole backstory, persona evolution, character arc, and relationships planned out. This video will be a lot more detailed than the rundown on Mercy. Before we get into it, consider subscribing and liking the video. And now, let's hop in. Touya Inoue is a high schooler in his second year, though he rarely attends school, treating it more like a bother rather than anything else. He is also a member of the Seas, as expected. Touya is 5 foot 7 inches. He has brown hair with part of it dyed orange. He has brown eyes. Touya is of an average build and all around. If it weren't for the orange in his hair, he would blend into any crowd. Touya comes from a well-off family, as his mother is a skilled lawyer with an excellent record and a successful law firm. Not as wealthy as the Correggio group, but they do often run in similar social circles. Touya has a casual sense of dress, wearing a red and white jacket with a hood over his school shirt and a choker as an accessory. If Touya were in any clubs, it would be photography and kendo. Touya is female to male, and yes, I know this is 2009, so it isn't as accepted. Let me be delusional with my characters. Touya is also bisexual and has a love interest for the Persona 3 Reload main character, though his main romantic interest mainly lies with Shinjiro Aragaki. Touya, despite ditching school, isn't stupid. He's bilingual and will use it to curse and insult you. Touya is also a realist. He understands that the world has good and bad, and he does his best to keep some of the good in the world, but he also knows that he's only one person and he can't change the world by himself. Touya's persona is Apollo, which awakens into Helios, and as a result, Touya is mainly healing and fire focused. Touya's weapon of choice is Wu Chi Lin, or a one-handed combat sickles, that he dual wields. As a result, Touya's melee attack does slice-type damage. That about wraps it up for this character introduction. Let's move on to Touya's backstory, shall we? Touya Inoue was born to Mr. and Mrs. Inoue, and look, give me a break, I wasn't coming up with proper names for these background characters. In Iwatodai on August 10th. There was an accident in the area when he was younger, and as a result, Touya's family moved overseas to the United States of America. And that's where Touya was raised for most of his childhood, speaking both Japanese and English, even if he struggled with it sometimes. He eventually discovered his gender identity and had started socially transitioning. With parental approval, Touya also started taking puberty blockers. Touya was very, very lucky to have such supporting parents of his gender identity and sexuality. In his first year of middle school, Touya's mother took him back to Japan after separating with her husband. Back in a now rebuilt Iwatodai, Touya's mother established a law firm and saw immense success due to her skill. Touya was enrolled in Gakukan Middle School, where he met Yukari Takaba and later Junpei Iori. All was well for a few years, until the second semester of Touya's first year of high school. His attendance had dropped severely, Touya only showing up enough to keep truancy officers off his back. He began hanging out behind Port Island Station, and all anybody could get out of him for this sudden change in behavior was an argument and falling out with his mother. In his new crowd, Touya met Shinjiro Aragaki, his senior by a year. The two got on well, for two emotionally repressed teenage boys. Touya found himself developing a crush on Shinjiro, but Touya kept his feelings to himself, not wanting to risk rejection. Touya awakened to the power of persona a few weeks before a girl named Fukuyama Gishi went missing in his second year of high school. Shinji explained that he had the power too when he found a very disoriented Touya standing over a pile of black goo that was once a shadow, Apollo having been the one to answer his call. Shinji offered Touya to help him get to a group that could help him wield his power, and Touya refused, not trusting a bunch of strangers. It isn't until Makoto Yuki, the newest transfer student, approaches him at the shrine and gets past Toya's guard that Touya finally relents and joins the Seas on their mission to stop the Dark Hour. That's right, I designed a whole fucking social link for this guy. This will be handled from the perspective that Touya is a character within Persona 3 Reload. Touya is of the Counselor Arcana, which he shares with Dr. Maruki from Persona 5 Royal. The Counselor is not a major arcana in most normal tarot decks, and represents diplomacy, creativity, vitality, skills to persuade, possibilities choice, and power over mental illness. Touya is a very creative person, and refuses to let anybody take away his free will and power of choice. His mother had tried to force Touya into a situation where his choice would be stripped away from him, and that is what his social link is about. In order to initiate Touya's social link, Makoto would have to visit Touya at Nagasaki Shrine, where he can be found Monday through Saturday after school. But this is only an option after Fuka is found and recruited to the Seas. Talking to Touya would trigger a cutscene that wouldn't take up the after-school time block. Touya would ask Makoto questions such as, "So, come on, tell me, why do you fight? To prove you're some kind of hero?" To recruit Touya, Makoto would have to answer with the response that isn't too self-righteous or too nihilistic. So if the choices were, yes, we're the only ones who can do this, no, I fight to help my friends, or I fight because that's all I can do, the right choice would be, no, I fight to help my friends. After about 3 visits, Touya would be recruited to Seas, and his social link would be available. Touya would be found at Nagasaki Shrine Monday through Saturday after school, and is unavailable on Sundays. Touya would also be romanceable. Let us date men, Atlas! Stop being cowards! Romancing Touya would result in a change in Toya's general story as his crush on Shinji stops and he sees the upperclassmen as good friends. Recruiting Touya would also change Shinjiro's story, as recruiting him, whether you romance him or not, results in Shinjiro not dying in October. Failing to recruit Touya would mean the story carries on as normal. Shinjiro dies. Touya's social link and recruitment would be completely optional in the game, as you could go on without him. What kind of OC for fandom would Touya be if I didn't make a chart describing his relationship with some of the most important characters in the game? Pink is romantic interests, green is friendly, blue is neutral, and red is hatred. For the Seas, Touya is friendly with Akihiko, Ken, Mitsuru, Koromaru, Makoto, Junpei, Aigis, and Yukari. He has a crush on Akihiko, Shinjiro, and Makoto can romance him. Touya is close friends with Fuka, considering her his best friend. While Ikutsuki is friendly towards Touya, Touya is neutral towards Ikutsuki, as Touya feels there's something off about him. For Strega, Touya despises Jin, who Touya thinks could put his smarts towards something better and more productive. And Touya actively wishes death upon Takaya every time they interact. And Touya isn't scared to admit it. The hatred goes both ways in these cases. Chidori and Touya are neutral to each other. And finally, Roiji. Touya is neutral towards him, as the two don't really interact and Touya has no solid opinions on him. Roiji flirts with everything that moves though, so he is romantically interested in Touya. I hope I didn't throw that at you all too quickly, and hey, if you did, you could always rewatch this video. As stated previously, Touya is of the Counselor Arcana. His persona is Apollo, the god of medicine, prophecy, music, and plagues. Apollo has mainly fire type, bless type, healing, and support skills, meaning Touya could easily replace Junpei as the main fire-using team member. He's also good for fairly early access to light moves before Ken is unlocked. Apollo's informational blurb reads as such: the god of archery, prophecy, healing, and theater. He is the patron god of oracles. He and his twin sister Artemis were born of an affair between Zeus and the goddess Leto. Apollo is weak to ice and darkness, but strong against fire and light. Obviously, everything else is neutral. The first theurgy unlocked is called Song of Tragedy, which would heal allies by 50% while hitting all enemies on the field with Debilitate. After Shinjiro gets shocked, a week after to be exact, Touya would reunite with his mom and rekindle their relationship, talking through their problems. Overcoming his hurdle would cause Apollo to transform into Helios, the god of the sun. Helios' informational blurb reads as such: the god of the sun. He's also sometimes referred to as a titan. It is said that he runs the sun like a chariot, bringing humanity to their days. Helios would pick up resist ice and resist dark. Helios would also null, bless, and fire. His second theurgy would be unlocked, called Scorching Rage. Scorching Rage would inflict severe fire damage to all foes, with a high chance of down and ignoring resistances. I'm not going to go into full details about the moves Apollo and Helios can learn, but if you are interested in that, check out Touya's Character Hub profile linked below. So, initially, Apollo was just a trace of Orpheus, and it wasn't until I started working on this video that I redesigned Apollo and finally established a design for Helios I am happy with. I always had vague ideas for what I wanted to do with them, but I never trusted myself to be able to execute them until now. Let's start with Apollo's design. Apollo's design was heavily based on a marionette puppet. Puppetry is commonly used in theater and ties into Touya's overarching story of not feeling in control of his own life and fate, and as a result, he is acting out. Apollo's strings will blast forward and strike when a physical move is used, and sprout out into almost sun-like rays when a magic attack is used. When using a supporting or healing move, Apollo would raise his hand over his head, almost like reaching for the sky. Apollo's colors are meant to remind of the sky during sunrise, a nod to the modern interpretation of Apollo as the sun god. Half of Apollo's head is the mask of comedy, something along with the mask of tragedy are commonly associated with theater, which is one of Apollo's domains. Apollo also has a laurel, which are those golden bits you often see on the heads of Greek gods. The orb that is Apollo's appendix is supposed to represent a clear night sky, a nod to his sister, and the galaxy bits are red, yellow, and orange. Apollo's cape is just that, a cape, and his medallion has a bow on it as a reference to his status as of a god of archery. Next is Helios. Yes, I know Helios' pose is very white diamondy. Bite me. For Helios' design, I wanted it to be more like a robot or automaton, reflecting that Touya is no longer controlled or running from his past. The colors are a bit bolder as compared to Apollo, and this is leaning into the fact that Touya is no longer scared of the future. He is learning to accept it as it comes rather than running and hiding from it as he used to. The mask side of Helios' face is much more rounder and softer and wears a much more serene expression. One could argue it's acceptance. The crown on the back of the head is supposed to represent a halo and also mimic the sun's beams. The robe is now around Helios' waist, kept in place through a medallion that bears the sun. And Helios' abdomen is a bright blue color with the same red, orange, and yellows as Apollo's. A daytime sky this time, and what the colors mean is up for interpretation, honestly. When hitting with a physical attack, Helios will use his wheels to rush forward and strike. A magic attack is him spinning and striking a pose, and finally, for support and healing moves, Helios raises both his hands over his head in a sort of cup-like motion, and the rays on his crown glow. Touya's design isn't all that complex, and I couldn't exactly recall what my inspiration was outside of the colors you'd associate with autumn. There are no direct cultural inspirations for Touya from 2009. I was like 5, and I grew up in the Midwest, so I wouldn't exactly have any experiences to draw on. I think I wanted to have him a contrast to the cool colors that are used in Persona 3 Reload's main color palette, as orange is the direct contrast to blue, which is the main color. I also wanted him to contrast the protagonist, even if the two share a similar personality. Honestly, I sat down and designed Touya in a day, fine-tuned him until I liked him, and from there I went to choose his persona and how they would evolve, and then I set his story and his character arc, and I established his social link and relationships. Seriously, I sat down playing Persona 3 Reload, and after crying my eyes out, I just started work on his design until I got him as he is. Disappointing, I know, but I make OCs that I enjoy looking at and drawing. Simple as that. I also just like drawing characters with this hairstyle and big jackets. That's it. Let me know what you guys think of this character, and well, of course with the posting of this video, we'll be entering yet another art block. I hope you all enjoyed today's video, and thank you for watching until this point. I know this one was a bit longer than Mercy's rundown, but Touya was a lot more detailed than them, despite their simple history. Though I hope all the extra information that is in this video makes up for that lack of background history. If you like this video, please consider leaving a comment, and if you haven't yet, why not subscribe? It's free and you can unsubscribe at any point. My GoFundMe is still ongoing, and I highly encourage you all to check that out and lend your support, even if that support is just spreading the word and getting more eyes on it. That's all from me, and I'll see all of you in the next video. Bye!